What began in June 2024 as a space to amplify autistic and neurodivergent voices has grown into something far bigger. A platform for raw, honest conversations about neurodivergence, disability, burnout, inclusion, mental health, and how our identities shape the way we move through the world. From the start, our mission has been clear: to go beyond the headlines, beyond stereotypes, and explore the real lived experiences that often go unheard. Over the past year, we've spoken with parents, professionals, educators, advocates, and everyday people, all united by a commitment to building a more inclusive and accessible world. But what's mattered most is the community. Those of you who listen, share, and remind us, finally, someone gets it. Thank you for being here. This is just the beginning.
Looking for authentic conversations that go beneath the surface? Tune in now to the Deep Dive podcast. Visit us at www.deepdiveau.net. That's deepdiveau.net. And follow us across your favorite platforms: YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, and Facebook. Just search at the Deep Dive AU. Join us as we dive deep into stories of neurodivergence, lived experience, and creating a more inclusive world. The Deep Dive podcast. Conversations that matter. Stories that connect.
This is the Deep Dive podcast. And here is your host, Michael Coles.
Rosie Coletta holds a firm belief not only in the beauty of neurodiversity, but the necessity of it, advocating that neurodiversity is an integral part of the functioning world. Rosie sees neurodivergent brains not as a flaw and not as something that requires fixing or treatment, but as a natural variant of human diversity, celebrating of nothing less than respect and celebration. Rosie works in a way that aligns with the human rights and social model of disability, where differences are celebrated and honoured. Rosie holds postgraduate qualifications in Autism and Neurodivergent Studies and has lived experience of being an Autistic ADHDer herself. She uses her knowledge and experience to emphasise with and support the families that she connects with. Rosie uses a neurodiversity-affirming approach, highly valuing the preferences and needs of the children and families she supports. Rosie works with autistic and otherwise neurodivergent children aged 4 to 16 years old. Rosie Coletta, welcome to the Deep Dive.
Hi, Michael. Thanks for having me.
So, how can families recognise when a school environment is causing emotional or nervous system harm to an ADHD child?
I think it's a tough one to answer because it's such a unique thing for each child. Like it would present really differently. But as a general, which I guess is hard to do, I would say to really listen to your child, notice any changes in their behaviour, and trust your gut as a parent as well.
So what signs of anxiety, masking, burnout, or loss of self-belief should parents watch for after school each day?
They can look for like the more commonly spoken about signs, which would be like shutdowns and meltdowns at home, increased sensory overload. They might have a significantly lower capacity for things that they usually seem to have capacity for, and be having, negative self-talk. Those are maybe like the common sort of textbook ones, but again, that would be really unique for each child.
So how can we help a child separate their identity from the negative messages they may be receiving at school?
I think that at home you can double down on affirming them and building their positive identity at home. I know that if they're still getting damage at school, it doesn't seem like it can seem counterproductive, but it's not. If it's not an option to take them out of the school, then just really doubling down at home on, having a safe, affirming place at home and helping them develop that positive autistic or ADHD identity there.
So what does calm and connected home environment look like for an ADHD child recovering from a difficult school day?
Oh, good question. I guess the autistic methods or ADHD methods of self-regulating can look really different to the sort of ways of self-regulating that we're used to hearing about, or how we think that regulation should look. So for some, it might be like an increase in stimming, needing more comfort items, needing more of that proprioceptive input. They might need a lot of jumping on a trampoline or heavy work, those sorts of things. yeah, I think for a word of advice would be don't expect your child to regulate in the neuronormative ways that we've been told we're meant to regulate.
Okay, so how can parents prioritize nervous system recovery, sensory regulation, decompression, and low demand time after school?
I think having an understanding of fluctuating capacity, giving your child the benefit of the doubt that if they're saying they can't do something or they need help, just because they could do it yesterday or just because they could do it an hour before doesn't mean that they do have the capacity to do it right now. So have that real understanding that capacity fluctuates, especially when we're going from really toxic environments at school to hopefully really affirming environments at home.
Okay, so how do we rebuild trust and connection when school stress has led to shutdowns, meltdowns, or oppositional behavior at home?
So I feel like by having that really affirming space at home and keeping the trust and safety between you and your child, making sure they know that they're not the problem and that the school is, or the way that they're being treated, or neuronormativity is, or ableism, or whatever your unique set of issues, like the challenges that you're facing are, and knowing that being neuroaffirming doesn't mean you don't have any boundaries. So you can still have boundaries. They're really, really important, but prioritizing connection and safety for your kid.
Okay, so how can parents give language to their child's experiences so they don't so they feel seen and understood rather than problematic in inverted commas?
Yeah, I would say hold space for them. Don't expect a gold star communication of verbal back and forth conversation. That's not how communication needs to happen. So hold space for the way that your child communicates and be willing to step into their world, the way that they see things. And I would say to put a really big focus on connection instead of correction and direction. So our kids are getting a lot of correction and direction at school, especially ADHDers, like constantly. Try to limit that at home and focus on connecting with them instead of correcting them.
Okay, so what strategies do help rebuild confidence and self-compassion when a child's self-esteem has been damaged in the school
Um, I
environment?
Yeah, I guess that really embracing their special interests, things that are great at, things that they feel competent at, really embracing and doubling down on those, and as much as possible, leaving tasks that they find tricky, like cutting them out as demands. Even though it can feel we can have that pressure from other people, it might be like, oh, can't your child put on their own shoes, or can't your child, whatever the thing is, just understanding that cutting down those demands and embracing their strengths and their spins and the things that they're wonderful at to really double down on that sense of self and positive identity at home.
Okay, so what adjustments at home can reduce overwhelm, such as routine structure, flexibility, sensory supports for ADHD nervous systems?
I think that's such an individualized thing for every family. But something that jumped into my mind when you asked that was to have parents or carers of ADHD kids modeling strategies for their own needs so that the child knows that it is safe and okay to have their own needs met. And then building a meaningful connection with neurokin, the autistic community outside of school so that they've got people that aren't school related. I know it's tricky. Some people might live regionally, rurally, but trying to find a sense of community that's outside of that with people that build up your child and celebrate them as well.
Okay, so how can parents reduce demands without lowering expectations for growth and independence?
I think working together with your child to identify what actually works for you. Kids know as well, like they really know what adjustments they need. It's like collaborate with them, ask their thoughts on it. Don't do things to them, do things with them. So they will be able to, by working collaboratively and helping them identify their own needs, what makes their nervous system feel good. This can be a lot of work, by the way. Like I would recommend having some books or resources such as like My Body's Power Pack by Sunday Menon is a really great one to help kids learn to identify those drainers and charges and things. So once they've sort of got that concept or have that as a really open conversation in your house, inviting them to tell you or teach you what charges them.
Okay, so what role does parent coaching or external neuroaffirming support play in stabilizing the home environment? I think that's really important, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I think that in a way, information is more accessible right now than it has ever been, and that's a brilliant thing. And it is also not a brilliant thing. It's very easy to overdose on information and get caught in that trap of scrolling, and you're hearing 50 different opinions of exactly what you should be doing for your child, and it can be really, really overwhelming and shame-based. So engaging with neuroaffirming professionals, obviously ensuring they are genuinely neuroaffirming and not using that as a buzzword in their advertising. And it can have a huge impact. I know that in this clinic, it's just having that space held for families that's, for an hour a week or an hour a fortnight, where they know they are safe in from a sensory perspective. There is no judgment. They have a deep understanding of neurodivergence and take a trauma-informed lens, and helping to sit with them and hear the challenges and offering strategies or suggestions, or just being there as a sounding board, can just be that breath that families really need when they're battling with school systems in a world that isn't willing to consider them. So if the professionals and the coaching that the parents are getting is affirming and not too much, it can make a world of difference.
Okay, so how can families effectively advocate for change while protecting their child's mental health in the meantime?
Double down on making sure that your kid knows that these challenges aren't their fault. It's that sort of radical acceptance of, we can't change the school system right now. And you can tell your child, if your child comes home and says, my teacher, I don't know, made me stay in at recess for 5 minutes because I was not showing whole body listening or whatever, you can say to your kid, that's not fair, and I'm sorry. Some other people in the world don't understand that you can listen while you're wriggling or whatever the thing. So just doubling down on affirming them, and it's not their fault. They are not a burden. The system is a burden. It's hard. It's exhausting. There's battles that parents are fighting that they should not have to fight. And we can't just assume that our kids know that it's not their fault. We need to tell them that and show them that in lots of other ways.
Okay, so when should parents consider alternatives such as reduced hours, flexible learning, or transitioning schools?
When you feel like it's necessary. I think the thing I would say to that is not to let anyone decide that for you. Don't let the school decide that. I know a lot of families that have said to the school, we want to consider a modified schedule or timetable, and the schools have really doubled down on saying, no, full-time attendance is really important here. And it sort of makes the parents go, oh no, maybe we should send them 5 days a week. Listen to your child, trust your gut. And if you think that being at school full time is not benefiting your child, please pull them out as much as you're able to, because that's your decision, and the well-being of your child is your decision. It's not other people. They don't have a vote in that one.
Yeah, that's so right. And how do we support major transitions such as school change, homeschooling, or alternative education while maintaining an emotional safety and continuity?
Oh, I think maybe allowing for a big phase of that transition of adapting to the new way of doing things. And I'd say in that phase to really reduce demands, focus on spins, focus on co-regulation. It's hard, and this isn't something that I've personally been through, so it's really hard for me to, give advice or say what's worked for me. But I can say that what I've seen work for a lot of families is reducing demands, focusing on co-regulation and things that genuinely bring the child joy and that they're intrinsically motivated to do.
Okay, and one final question we'd like to ask everybody here on the Deep Dive podcast. If there's one piece of advice you'd like to give in 30 seconds or less, what would that be?
Know your child, believe them, listen to them, listen to yourself in your gut. If you feel that something is wrong, if you feel that needs aren't being met, do not let schools, other professionals, whoever it is, bully you into believing that neuronormativity is okay or that it's necessary. Trust your gut, trust your kid, do what's right for you.
And on that note, Rosie, Coletta, thank you so much for being part of the Deep Dive podcast today.
Thank you for having me.
Follow Rosie on her Instagram page at rosie.uniquelywired.